Joe, Law Self-Defense Platinum member, says, Andrew, I wonder if you're familiar with the show True Crime Story on the Sundance TV channel. I'm not. I just don't have a lot of time to watch TV, but he writes, this week's episode was interesting. It covered a lady in Florida shooting her gun in the air as a warning shot to her attacker, baby daddy, to stop the attack, and she received 20 years in prison for it. I've only watched 2 episodes. I'm unsure if this is worth watching further due to the left-leaning coverage. Well, I can't speak to the show. It sounds like you might be talking about the Marissa Alexander case down in Florida. Marissa Alexander, she was presented in the media as a victim of domestic abuse who merely fired a shot into the air and was suddenly facing 60 years of prison time. In fact, what Marissa Alexander did was she was having an argument with her baby daddy. The baby daddy was standing in the kitchen with their 2 small children standing right next to him. She got so mad that she left the kitchen, went to the garage to her car, retrieved the pistol, came back, and fired it at his head. The bullet hole was in the wall next to his head. She didn't just fire it in the air. Folks, unless the gun's underwater, I guess you're always firing into the air, right? But this was not a warning shot. She missed his head is what happened. And then she fled the scene. But the reason she was facing so much time was she got charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, which is what this is. Shot at the baby daddy at his head, put him in fear of imminent deadly force harm. And the 2 kids both testified at trial that they thought they were going to die. So they were in fear of deadly force harm. That's 3 people put in fear of imminent deadly force harm. Unjustified. Well, that's 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And Florida has a very, very aggressive mandatory minimum sentencing statute for gun crimes. This is what happens when judges are weak on sentencing. The populace gets tired of it and demands mandatory minimum sentencing. And in Florida, they call this 10-20 life. And I have the little framework here. So if you commit one of a series of enumerated crimes, and they have a whole list of these, and one of them used to be aggravated assault. So you commit aggravated assault with the gun. If all you do is have the gun in your possession and you're convicted of the underlying aggravated assault, it's a 10-year mandatory minimum. And if there's multiple counts, they have to run consecutively, 10, 10, 10. If you discharge the gun, you don't kill or seriously hurt anybody. You just, like Marissa Alexander, she fired a gun, didn't hit anybody, went into the wall. If you discharge the gun and you're convicted of the underlying, in this case, aggravated assault, it's 20-year mandatory minimum per each count, and they run consecutively. That's what happened to Marissa Alexander. Baby daddy, 2 kids, 3 counts aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, guilty on all 3. 20 years, 20 years, 20 years consecutively. That's how you get to 60 years. Mandatory minimum. No possibility of early release. So it's effectively a life sentence for most people. And if you actually seriously injure or kill someone, it's 25 years to life. So that's 10, 20 life under the Florida framework. Now, in Florida, what happened was prosecutors became very aggressive about applying this statute in the context of charging aggravated assault in genuine warning shot cases where people literally fired a gun up in the air outside. The prosecution would say, well, that's aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 10, 20 life. You're looking at whatever, 60 years in prison unless you take this plea bargain. And a lot of these were really, on the face, apparently lawful cases of self-defense, but for the stupidity of the warning shot. But when you threaten somebody with 60 years and then offer them a year felony sentence, that's a lot of pressure to take that plea agreement. This was so badly abused by the Florida prosecutors that the Florida legislature removed aggravated assault as one of the qualifying conditions for 10-20 life. So 10-20 life no longer applies to a charge of aggravated assault. And that change was made specifically because prosecutors were abusing this statute in the context of aggravated assault.